The sky outside the large observation window was dark, filled with stars that looked like small white dots. The research ship Aurora floated in silence, moving slowly through the quiet part of the galaxy. Inside the ship, humans were getting ready for something very special. Elena Carter stood in the main hall of the ship. She wore a clean white suit and held a small tablet in her hand. Elena was an astrobiologist, someone who studied life on other planets. Her brown hair was tied back, and her eyes were focused and calm. Today, she was going to meet an alien for the first time. The Zilarians were a race that no human had ever met face to face. They lived far away and only spoke to humans through screens and messages. But now, one Zilarian was coming on board the Aurora to meet with humans in person. This was a big moment for both races. The door at the far end of the hall opened slowly. A group of people walked in, and in the middle of them was Lyra, the Zilarian diplomat. She was taller than most humans, her skin a smooth pale blue and her large eyes glowing softly. She moved with grace, and her expression showed curiosity and calm. Elena took a step forward, smiled, and offered her hand. "Welcome to the Aurora. I'm Elena Carter." Lyra looked at Elena's hand, then slowly reached out and touched it. Her fingers were long and cool to the touch. As their skin met, Lyra's eyes widened. She took a sudden sharp breath and pulled her hand back quickly. Elena frowned a little. "Are you all right?" Lyra looked away for a moment, her cheeks turning a darker shade of blue. "Yes, I am fine. I just felt something unusual." Elena nodded gently. "Maybe it's just nerves." "It's your first time meeting humans in person." Lyra gave a small smile but said nothing more. The tour of the ship began. Elena walked with Lyra through the corridors, showing her the labs, the living areas, and the observation deck. The other crew members smiled and greeted Lyra, and she nodded politely to each one. But every time Lyra stood close to Elena, she felt her heart race and her skin warm. She didn't understand what was happening to her. Lyra came from a race that was logical and calm. Her people were not ruled by feelings the way humans sometimes were. But now, standing next to Elena, she felt something wild inside her. Her body was reacting in a way she had never felt before. As the tour ended, Lyra asked to sit down and rest. Elena brought her to a small room with 2 chairs and a clear window looking out into space. They sat together in silence for a moment. "This ship is beautiful," Lyra said softly. "Thank you. We worked hard to make it safe and welcoming," Elena replied. Lyra looked at Elena, studying her face. The way her brown eyes sparkled, the kindness in her smile. Lyra's skin warmed again, and she turned away quickly. "Is it too warm in here?" "For you?" Elena asked. "No," Lyra said, though she wasn't sure if that was true. "I think something is wrong with me. I feel strange. My body is reacting in a way I do not understand." Elena sat up straighter. "Do you need to see our medical officer?" "No," Lyra said quickly. "I don't think this is a sickness." "I felt it the moment I touched your hand." Elena was quiet. She didn't know what to say. She didn't want to make Lyra uncomfortable. "We're different species. Maybe it's just how your body responds to ours. I'm not sure. But we can help you figure it out. You're not alone." Lyra looked at Elena again. There was something calming about her voice, something that made the strange heat inside her feel less scary. "Thank you," Lyra said. "You are very kind." Elena smiled. "That's what we're here for, to learn and to help." Outside the window, the stars kept shining. 2 beings from different worlds sat quietly, both unsure of what had just begun. But one thing was clear. Something had changed the moment they met, and nothing would ever be the same again. Lyra sat alone in the guest room given to her on the Aurora. The lights were dim, and the walls were quiet. But inside her mind, everything felt loud. Her thoughts were racing. She had never felt anything like this before. She touched her chest. Her heart was beating faster than usual. Her skin felt warm, almost like a gentle fire was moving under it. She tried to breathe slowly, but it didn't help much. Back on her homeworld, feelings like this were not common. Her people were calm and in control. They did not have sudden desires or emotions like this. What was happening to her now made no sense, and it all started when she met Elena. She stood up and walked to the mirror. Her reflection looked the same, but she felt different. Her hands were shaking a little. Her face looked more flushed than normal. She closed her eyes and tried to clear her thoughts at the same time. Elena was in her room, thinking about Lyra. She could tell something strange had happened during their meeting. She had seen Lyra's reaction when they touched hands. It wasn't just surprise. It was something deeper. Elena opened her tablet and wrote a note about the incident. As a scientist, she wanted to understand it. She had seen many alien species before, but nothing like this had ever happened. Was it something about humans? Or was it something about her specifically? She decided to visit the ship's doctor. Dr. Nolan was a quiet man in his 50s who had worked on alien biology for years. "Doctor," Elena said, sitting down across from him, "have you ever seen an alien react to a human like physically? I mean, like they are suddenly overwhelmed by something when they meet us?" Dr. Nolan looked thoughtful. "It has happened before in very mild ways. Some species are more sensitive to our scent or voice tones, but nothing serious. Why? Did something happen?" Elena nodded. "Lyra, the Zilarian diplomat." She seemed overwhelmed. She said her body felt strange after touching me. Dr. Nolan raised his eyebrows. "That is interesting. The Solarians are usually very steady and calm. If she's reacting this way, we need to monitor her health closely." "She said it wasn't sickness," Elena added. It felt more emotional. Dr. Nolan leaned back. "Well, emotions are part of biology too. If it continues, we should run some tests. Carefully, of course. We don't want to offend her." Later that day, Elena met Lyra again in the common room. There were a few other crew members around, talking and laughing softly. Lyra stood by the window, watching the stars again. Elena walked up slowly. "Hi, are you feeling better now?" Lyra turned to her. Her face still looked calm, but her eyes showed a storm inside. "I am still confused," she said. "My body reacts strangely when I am near you." Elena gave a gentle smile. "Maybe it's because our species are new to each other. Sometimes the body senses things before the mind understands." Lyra looked down. "I don't want to be rude or strange, but when I stand near you, my heart beats fast. My skin becomes warm, and I feel drawn to you." Elena didn't laugh. She didn't tease. She only nodded and listened. "I believe you. We will figure it out together." Lyra looked into Elena's eyes. "Do humans feel this way too, when they meet someone new?" "Yes," Elena said. "Sometimes, when we meet someone special." That word "special" made Lyra's heart beat even faster. "What happens then?" Lyra asked. "We talk. We learn about each other. We try to understand what we feel. Sometimes it becomes friendship. Sometimes it becomes more." Lyra looked thoughtful. "On my world, we do not speak of these things openly. We are taught to keep control." "That must be hard," Elena said softly. "It is," Lyra whispered, "but with you, it feels different." They stood in silence, side by side. Outside the ship, the stars moved slowly. Inside the room, something new was starting. It wasn't love yet, but it was close. Later that night, Lyra recorded a private message to her own people. She did not send it. Not yet, but she needed to. Say the words out loud. "Today, I felt something I have never known. A connection, a desire. I do not know what it means, but I know it began when I met a human. Her name is Elena, and she has changed something inside me." Lyra saved the message and turned off the screen. She lay down and closed her eyes. Even with her confusion, a small smile touched her lips. She did not know where this path would lead, but she wanted to walk it, as long as Elena was beside her. The next day on the Aurora began like any other. The lights in the hallway slowly brightened to signal morning. Crew members walked to their stations, chatting quietly and drinking warm drinks. But for Elena and Lyra, the day felt different. Elena woke up thinking about Lyra. Her words from the day before stayed in her mind. Lyra was confused, maybe even scared, but also curious. Elena wanted to help her, but she also wanted to spend more time with her. Something about Lyra felt special. Lyra woke up early and sat near the window in her room. She watched the stars and thought about her message. She had not sent it. She was not sure if she ever would. But she felt the need to understand her feelings before speaking to her people about them. Daughter Elena sent Lyra a message. "Would you like to join me in the garden room after breakfast?" "It's quiet there," Lyra answered quickly. "Yes, I would like." That, after breakfast, they met in the garden room. It was a small space filled with plants from Earth. The smell of flowers and green leaves filled the air. A soft light above made it feel like a sunny day. Lyra looked around with wide eyes. "This place is beautiful. The colors, the smells. They are soft and warm." Elena smiled. "It's a place to relax. Sometimes we all need a little quiet." They sat down on a bench surrounded by plants. A few bees buzzed near a group of flowers, and a small fountain made soft water sounds. "Have you had time to rest?" Elena asked. Lyra nodded. "Yes, but I also had time to think, and I have many questions." "Ask me anything," Elena said. "If I can help, I will." Lyra looked into Elena's eyes. "Do all humans feel so much?" "You seem to understand what I feel better than I do." Elena thought for a moment. "We feel many things, yes, but we also don't always understand them. Sometimes our hearts speak before our minds do." Lyra touched her chest. "My heart speaks loudly now. I do not know how to quiet it." Elena placed her hand gently on Lyra's. "Maybe you don't need to quiet it. Maybe you just need to listen." Lyra's eyes softened. She turned her hand slightly and held Elena's. The touch was gentle, but it carried a deep meaning. "In my culture," Lyra said, "touch is rare. It is used only for deep trust." "Then I'm honored," Elena said. They sat like that for a while, just holding hands. No one else came into the garden room. It felt like the universe had given them a quiet moment. Later, they walked through the ship together. Lyra asked questions about everything she saw. Elena answered them all with patience and care. "This is the science lab," Elena said, showing a room full of screens and machines. "We study samples here from planets and stars." Lyra looked at the equipment. "Your world is full of life. You try to understand everything. I admire that." "Your people are wise too," Elena replied. "You came here to learn, even though it's new and strange. That takes courage." As they moved from room to room, the other crew members noticed the bond forming between the two. Some smiled, some whispered, but no one interrupted. Later that evening, the ship's captain, Nora Blake, asked to speak with Elena privately. "Elena," she said, "I've noticed you and Lyra spending a lot of time together. Is everything all right?" Elena nodded. "Yes, she's going through something new. I think humans affect her species in a way we didn't expect." Captain Blake raised an eyebrow. "And is it just science? Or is there something more?" Elena paused. "I don't know yet. Maybe it's both, but I want to help her. She's not just a visitor now. She's someone important to me." The captain gave a small smile. "Just be careful. This is uncharted space in more ways than one." Elena left the meeting feeling both nervous and hopeful. That night, Lyra sat in her room again. She looked at her hand, the one Elena had touched. It still felt warm. She picked up her recorder and spoke softly. "I feel things I cannot explain. Elena makes me feel safe." She listens. She understands. "If this is what humans call connection, then I think I want to learn more." She still did not send the message, but she no longer felt afraid of it. She knew the journey had just begun, and she wanted Elena to be part of it. Outside, the stars continued their silent dance. Inside, two hearts from different worlds were slowly moving toward each other, not with fear, but with hope. The days passed slowly on the Aurora. Lyra spent more and more time with Elena. They talked, laughed, and sometimes just sat in silence. With each moment, their bond grew stronger. But questions still filled their minds. One morning, Lyra joined Elena in the ship's lab. The room was quiet except for the soft humming of machines. Elena was looking at a screen filled with charts and notes. "Good morning," Lyra said softly. Elena looked up and smiled. "Morning, Lyra. I was just studying something important." "Would you like to see?" Lyra walked over and stood beside her. Elena pointed to the screen. "These are samples from our last meeting. I was curious about how human-sent energy waves affect your species." Lyra looked at the chart. "And what did you find?" Elena looked serious. "Your body reacts strongly to certain chemicals in our scent. Not in a harmful way, but in a very deep biological way. Your system becomes active when you are near humans, especially certain ones." Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "Do you mean me and you?" Elena nodded. "Yes, your response is stronger when you're close to me. It's not your fault. It's science. But I think emotions are part of it too." Lyra touched her own chest. "I feel it here, not just in my body. When you are near, I feel alive." Elena reached out and held Lyra's hand. "I feel the same." They stood like that for a while, letting the moment speak for them. Later that day, a message came from the Zilarian ship nearby. They had been waiting while Lyra stayed on the Aurora. The Zilarian leader, High Envoy Talon, wanted an update. Captain Blake called Elena and Lyra to the meeting room. Talon's face appeared on the screen. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Lyra, we hope your visit is going well. We hear you've extended your stay." Lyra answered slowly, "Yes, High Envoy, I am learning a great deal. The humans have been kind. I have formed a bond with one of them." Talon's eyes narrowed. "A bond? Do you mean a personal attachment?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, I believe it is important." Talon was silent for a moment. Then he said, "Return to our ship in 2 days. We must discuss this matter in person." The screen turned off. Lyra felt her chest tighten. They are not happy. Elena placed a hand on her shoulder. "Do you want to go back?" "I must," Lyra said. "They are my people, but I am afraid." "They do not understand feelings the way humans do." Elena nodded. "Then let's help them understand." Over the next day, Elena and Lyra worked together on a report. It explained the science behind the reaction, but also spoke about their personal experience. They wanted to show that connection between species could be a good thing. When it was done, Elena gave Lyra a small gift. It was a bracelet made of simple silver with a small stone from Earth. "To remember me," Elena said. Lyra took it gently. "I will wear it always." On the day of her return, Lyra stood near the ship's docking bay. Elena stood beside her. "This is not goodbye," Elena said. "This is just a step," Lyra smiled. "I hope so. I will speak the truth to my people. Whatever happens, I will not forget you." They held hands one last time, then Lyra stepped onto the small transport ship. Elena watched as it flew away. Hours passed. The ship felt quiet without Lyra. Elena tried to stay busy, but her thoughts kept going back to the time they spent together. That night, she sat in the garden room alone. The air was still, and the stars outside looked the same. But something inside her had changed. Far away, on the Zilarian ship, Lyra stood before her leaders. She told them everything. About the human ship, about Elena, and about her own feelings. Some of the council looked shocked. Others listened with care. Talon finally spoke. "This is not our way. But perhaps it is time to learn a new way. If your feelings are real, we must understand them." Lyra felt hope rise in her heart. Maybe this was not an ending, but a beginning. And back on the Aurora, Elena looked up at the stars and whispered, "Come back soon." Back on the Zilarian ship, Lyra stood in a quiet room. The lights were soft blue, and the air felt cool. Her leaders had allowed her to rest before asking more questions. But Lyra's heart was not calm. She kept thinking about Elena. She sat down and took a deep breath. She remembered the way Elena smiled, the sound of her voice, and how gentle her touch was. Lyra had never known anyone like her. And now they were apart. Later that day, the council called her to speak again. "Hi." Envoy Talon and the others waited in the meeting chamber. "Lyra," Talon said, "we have read your report. The science is clear. But what concerns us is your personal attachment." Lyra stood tall. "Yes, I feel a connection to Elena. It is not weakness. It is understanding." Another council member spoke. "But you are not human. Your feelings may cloud your duty." "Or they may help us grow," Lyra answered. "If we fear connection, we will never learn." The room was quiet. Talon spoke again. "We need time to think. For now, you may stay on our ship. But do not contact the humans." Lyra returned to her quarters. She sat near the window, staring at the stars. She wanted to send a message to Elena, but she followed the council's order. Still, she felt alone. On the Aurora, Elena waited. Days passed, and no message came. She tried to focus on her work, but nothing felt the same. The garden room felt empty without Lyra. The halls were quiet. Elena met with Dr. Nolan again. "I miss her," Elena said. "It's not just emotion. Something real happened between us." Dr. Nolan nodded. "I believe you. Some things can't be explained by science. But maybe Lyra is fighting her own battle now." Elena looked down. "I just want her to know she's not alone." Back on the Zilarian ship, Lyra couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Elena's words. "You're not alone." Finally, she made a decision. She wrote a message, but didn't send it through normal channels. She used a personal device hidden in her bag. It was small and old, but still worked. The message was simple. "I miss you. I think about you every day. I want to return." She sent it. On the Aurora, Elena was walking down the hallway when her tablet beeped. She opened it and read the message. Her heart jumped. She ran to the captain's office. "She sent me a message. Lyra wants to come back." Captain Blake looked serious. "We can't bring her without their permission. It could damage the peace." Elena paused. "What if we just meet halfway? A neutral place. Not Earth, not the Zilarian ship. Just space." The captain thought for a moment. "We could request a meeting. If they agree, she could speak for herself." Elena nodded. "Please try." The next day, the Aurora sent a request. The Zilarians answered slowly, but finally agreed. A neutral zone was chosen, and both ships traveled there, dot in a small docking area between the ships. Lyra and Elena met again. Their eyes met first. Then, without speaking, they moved closer and held hands. The moment was quiet, full of meaning. "You came," Elena said. "I had to," Lyra replied. "I couldn't stay away." The council allowed them a short time to speak. Lyra explained her feelings, her thoughts, and what she hoped for the future. "I believe humans and Zilarians can learn from each other," she said. "Let me be the first step." Some of the leaders were still unsure, but Talon finally said, "We will allow one more visit. Continue your research, but keep your emotions in balance." Lyra smiled. "Thank you." She returned to the Aurora with a small bag and a hopeful heart. Elena was waiting for her in the garden room. "Welcome back." Lyra took her hand. "I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to feel." The stars outside were the same, but the space between them was full of new light. Two people from different worlds were starting something brave, and they knew they were not alone anymore. Lyra's return to the Aurora brought new energy to the ship. The crew welcomed her kindly, and many smiled when they saw her and Elena together again. Something about their bond made others feel hopeful. Elena gave Lyra a tour of the ship once. More, but this time it felt different. They walked slower. They talked more. Their connection had grown stronger, and now it was easier to feel Dot in the science lab. Elena showed Lyra new data. Since your visit, we've been studying human-Solarian contact more closely, she said. Lyra looked at the charts. And what have you learned? Your people respond to us in ways that are rare, Elena explained. Not just your body, but your heart and mind are affected by our presence. It's not just science, it's connection. Lyra nodded. I believe that. I feel it with you. They both smiled and sat close, looking at the screen together. The silence between them was comfortable. Later, Captain Blake called them to her office. She looked at both of them with a serious face. The Zilarian Council has allowed this visit, but they are watching closely, she said. They want to report on everything. We must be honest and careful. Elena nodded. We understand. We're not trying to hide anything. We want to help both. Our peoples. Captain Blake leaned forward. Then I need you to prepare a joint report. Explain your bond. Explain what it means. Make sure they see it's not dangerous. Lyra agreed. We will do it together. For the next few days, Elena and Lyra worked side by side. They talked about their experiences. They described the first meeting, the changes Lyra felt, and how their feelings had grown. Lyra shared her thoughts openly. At first, I was afraid of these feelings, but now I see they are not a weakness. They are a kind of strength. They help me understand others. Elena added, connection between different people is never easy, but it's how peace begins. They finished the report and gave it to Captain Blake, who sent it to the Zilarian Council. Then they waited. While waiting, they spent time in the garden room again. The soft sounds of water and the smell of flowers brought peace. Do you think they will accept us? Lyra asked one night. I don't know, Elena answered. But no matter what they say, I know what I feel. And I know it's real. Lyra took her hand. So do I. One morning, a reply came. The Zilarian ship sent a message to the Aurora. The council had read the report. Captain Blake called Lyra and Elena to the control room. They are sending a representative, she said. They want to see things with their own eyes. Lyra's eyes widened. Who is coming? Talon himself, the captain answered. You will arrive tomorrow. The next day, the docking doors opened. Talon stepped onto the Aurora. He was tall and calm, with sharp eyes and a serious face. He met Elena and Lyra in the meeting room. I have come to understand this bond for myself, he said. Lyra stood tall. I hope you will see that it is not a danger. It is something new. Something good. Talon looked at Elena. And you? What do you want from this? Elena replied, I don't want power or control. I want to share something real with Lyra, something honest. Talon spent the day on the ship. He watched how the crew treated Lyra. He listened to their stories. He read their research. And he saw the way Lyra and Elena looked at each other. That evening, Talon met with Captain Blake, Lyra, and Elena again. What you have is not simple, he said. But I see it as not a threat. I see honesty. I see care. Lyra stepped forward. Then will you allow it? Talon nodded slowly. I will not stop it. You may continue your journey together, but remember, others may still doubt. You must be strong. Elena smiled. We will be. Talon left the ship that night. As his ship pulled away, Lyra stood by the window with Elena. He saw us, Lyra said. He truly saw us. Elena nodded. Now the real journey begins. The stars outside looked the same, but everything had changed. Two hearts from two worlds had made. A path no one had walked before. And now they would walk it together. Days passed on the Aurora, and everything started to change. The crew worked together as usual, but there was a new sense of peace in the air. Elena and Lyra spent more time together every day, learning about each other and about themselves. Lyra felt safe now. She did not worry about her strange feelings anymore. With Elena's help, she learned that feelings were a part of life, not something to hide or fear. She smiled more, and her voice grew stronger. She started to walk with more confidence around the ship. One morning, Lyra received a message from her own people. They wanted her to return to their ship and give a report. Lyra knew she could not hide from them any longer. She decided it was time to tell her people what she had learned. She went to see Elena in the garden room. The air was fresh and green, and the sound of water made the room peaceful. Elena looked at Lyra and could see she was worried. "My people want to see me," Lyra said quietly. "I must go and speak to them." Elena nodded. "Will you come back?" Lyra looked down at her hands. "I want to, but I do not know what they will say. I do not know if they will understand." Elena touched her hand. "No matter what happens, you are strong. You have changed, and maybe you can help your people understand." Lyra gave a small smile. "Thank you, Elena, for everything." Later, Lyra walked to the docking bay. The doors opened, and she stood there for a moment, looking at the human crew. She wanted to remember their faces, their kindness, and how they had welcomed her. She stepped onto the small shuttle that would take her to her people's ship. Elena watched from the window, hoping Lyra would return. The shuttle left the Aurora, and Elena felt a space in her heart. She missed Lyra already. On her own ship, Lyra met with the council of her people. They waited for her to speak. Lyra stood straight, her heart full of new courage. "I have learned something important," she said. "Humans are different from us. When I first met them, I was confused by my feelings. But now I see that feelings are not a weakness. They are a gift." The council members looked at each other. One asked, "Did the humans change you?" Lyra thought for a moment. "They helped me see myself. They did not make me weak. They helped me become strong. I want to learn more from them. I believe we can be friends with humans. We do not have to be afraid." Some members of the council were silent. Others whispered. It was not easy to change old ideas. But Lyra stood tall, and she did not look away. She hoped her words would help her people. After the meeting, Lyra waited alone in her room. She wondered what would happen next. Hours passed. Finally, a message came from the council. They would let her return to the Aurora, but they wanted her to share what she learned and to keep sending reports. Lyra felt a wave of relief and joy. She wanted to see Elena again. Back on the Aurora, Elena was in the garden room, looking at the plants. She heard a soft sound behind her. She turned around and saw Lyra standing in the doorway. Elena's eyes filled with happy tears. "You came back," Elena said softly. Lyra walked up to her and smiled. "I came back. My people said I can stay, and I can learn more with you." They sat together on the bench, their hands touching. The garden felt even more peaceful now that time passed, and Lyra started to help on the Aurora. She worked with the science team and learned about human technology. She shared stories from her world, and the crew listened with interest. Lyra also sent messages back to her people. She told them about the kindness of the humans and about the power of feelings. Over time, other visitors from Lyra's world came to meet the humans. They were careful at first, but when they saw Lyra was safe and happy, they started to trust the humans too. The ship felt like a bridge between two worlds. Elena and Lyra helped everyone learn about friendship, trust, and hope. The crew was proud to have Lyra with them. Even the captain noticed the change. One night, Elena and Lyra sat together, looking at the stars through the window. They did not need to speak. The stars were bright and silent, but inside the ship, hearts were full. Elena thought about all they had been through. She was grateful for Lyra's courage and for the new friendship they had built. Lyra knew she had found a new family, one that accepted her just as she was. As the Aurora sailed through the stars, Elena and Lyra looked forward to the future. They knew there would be challenges, but they would face them together, one day at a time. The stars outside were endless, but now so were the possibilities.